It's excellent. Excellent music. They bring a good vibe, especially in the French Quarter and all over New Orleans.
You know, not everybody can come out here and perform over and over, and they have followers.
You got a violinist and a guitarist, no vocals. That's going to go over really well.
When I play music, I usually close my eyes so I'm not distracted by everything that's going on around me.
It's nice that people come back and look for us and have their own thoughts or impressions about us. I've always wanted to play. I love playing. I can play for hours on end. I can play till the day I die. I love playing. I'm really out there because I enjoy playing. Playing for me is so relaxing. So after I do everything else that I'm doing in my life, to go out and play is like just to sit down and chill out. Well, I started playing the violin when I was 6, and my parents made me play. I never liked to play. By the time I got to college, I was like, I don't want to do this. This is horrible. I don't want to do this. And then right after college, I met Doris, and then she was just playing some pop songs, and I was like, hey, I like that song. And I never practiced it, but I just found like, hey, I can play by ear, you know? I discovered that it was just something I could do. And she would be like, well, improvise over that. And I'm like, this is really fun, you know?
I guess I was fortunate to be at a place where my studies and my time in my life culminated into making it viable for me to be a musician now.
It's hard to believe that there's nobody out there. It's hard.
We used to be a trio, actually, and that's how we started. Was we had a singer too, and you probably know singers can only sing so much, you know. But me and Doris, we play string. We can play all day, you know. Even though we started as a trio, I think the fact that Doris and I could play more, and we kind of need to play more just to practice to get better, that we just develop our own sound, and then the singer would come and we would do things together.
It's just a set of circumstances. I mean, we may stop playing tomorrow. You take each day as it comes. Our personalities get along. I mean, we can travel together and have fun and hang out for a month or so and then come back. We have this musical connection, and it allows us to have this whole separate life.
We have different people joining us, sometimes singers, sometimes drummers. You know, people just come to us with their talent and we say, okay, let's try to do something together.
It was last year's Jazz Fest, and on one of their CDs they did have a Dave Matthews song, the number 4. So this guy walks up to him and says, hey, you know, I wrote that song. Next thing you know, Doris had another guitar, and he played with them for like a half hour. I can't believe, if I was a Dave Matthews fan, and he put it on his Facebook, it was one of the best days of his life to play with the girls. And that's the magic of the city, the magic of the girls. You just never know.
Doris, I know, is just very kind, very smart, very hardworking.
A lot of times when I find things funny, it's because of what Tanya's doing. She's so foolish. She's silly, you know, so it's funny. I mean, I don't even know if I could have played with anybody for this long. You know, hours after hours, it wasn't, if it's not fun.
She's very hardworking. Like I'm kind of like lazy, and I'm happy. I would be happy just to play music, you know, in my room. you know, but she's like, no, we must go work, we must do this. And it's good, we're a good team because she keeps me going. She taught school for a long time, she's very smart. And after 10 years, I still learn stuff from her all the time.
Tanya is heartfelt warm. It's amazing how funny she is. Just a genuine, warm person. Doris is tough. Well, she's not really, but she likes to be the tough person. When I moved to New Orleans and I bought this bar, I needed to do a build out on it. Come to find out, she bought 6 or 7 houses ruined by the hurricane.
For me, Katrina hit when I was 40 years old. I had just turned 40, and I think when you're 40, your life changes anyway a little bit. A situation like Katrina could predestine that for you.
During Katrina, we evacuated. I didn't want to go because I wasn't feeling good that morning, and Doris was like, "You're coming with me." She forced me into the car, and I'm very glad she did because this storm turned out to be, very devastating. We first went to Memphis. We wanted to go to Texas, but there was so much traffic that we ended up going north to Memphis, and we watched the news. We were thinking we were just going to be able to go home, but no, we had to keep going. So we went to Kentucky and North Carolina, D.C., all the way up to New York. And we both had lots of friends in New York, so we were able to stay with them. And we had a permit to play in the subways then. So we were able to make ends meet that way.
After Katrina, seeing the city get devastated, it was important to me to really think about ways that people could rebuild their homes. And so it just became a part of something essentially that I was going to do. I run a construction company. Yeah. So I'm in the process of, I work with some younger people, and we help people build their houses. I build some houses, things like that.
She had all these misplaced kids that went to Houston after Katrina. Their schools were all messed up. They just were like kind of lost. Doris put them to work. They got to move into the house that they just built, like that Habitat for Humanity. And they have to pay Doris rent, but they learn to trade. They learn to, they have to be on time, this and that, and then they were in the rewards of their work. And that's the kind of person Doris is. She's grassroots, she won't talk about it.
I help other people record music. I have a studio. Sometimes I teach music lessons. When I look around, I don't know that my life has always been that way, but I'm glad at this point I can really selectively decide what types of things and how I'm going to dictate my time.
It's not unusual for somebody to come up to me crying, you know, and just say, thank you. I'm just grateful for anybody that stops to listen to us, you know? A lot of people that go out there are very worried about how much money they put in the basket, but I don't think about that, you know, because I think if I think about that, that's not what it's about. And I'm very aware that, you know, a lot of these people are they either live here and they're going somewhere, or they don't live here, they come from very far, and it means a lot to me when they stop, you know, and listen. It's not just about tears, it's also about people dancing and having fun and, you know, celebrating life too. It was just a moment in time when, you know, two human beings were able to connect, and for me that's what it's about, you know?
Part of what we do bring to the streets is this idea of, you know, seeing two women play music, seeing a black woman and an Asian woman play music. It's not something you see every day. The majority of the time, when you see musicians, they're men. You see two guys playing on the street, they don't care. It's powerful enough just to know that we exist. We're always practicing it to get better or to think about ways of capturing who we are in that moment. Your emotions and your fingers and the sweat and the string response and everything living in you gives it that mood for the day. You can hear sadness or you can hear absolute celebration. So the music is us.
I would listen to their CDs, and there's a song called Summertime that they do. This is just beautiful. And I was like, I need to have them come to Orlando and play in Orlando. So that's how they came down to Orlando and they played my bar, and they never play bars.
I mean, I'm not that big on being around places where people get drunk. I'm not big on, you know, up until now at least, where people smoked. You know, it's not, these things aren't that pleasant for me, so I like to see kids, you know, I like to see old people, young people. I don't want to have to be marketed to a select few customers.
They don't want to play in bars and restaurants, and it's almost insulting when people go, they should be somewhere else. They should be here, they should be here. They're that good, they could tour, that kind of stuff. Me being a bar owner, I can only pay them X amount of dollars. You know, they play for 14 hours. 14 hours of playing music on the streets in the heat. You do it because you love it, and it's part of who you are.
I mean, I think the difference really is that in New Orleans, when there are musical families, there's actually places where you can actually make a living doing it very easily. And it's, you know, being a musician in New Orleans is like being a policeman somewhere else. It's part of the city. Like, New Orleans cannot exist without musicians. Whereas where I'm from in New Haven, Connecticut, there were definitely musicians, but it wasn't a main staple. You know, people were like, well, but you still got to get a real job. That's not a musician is not a real job. It's a real job here. The most talented people are musicians in this town. It just allows me to not have to have a boss. It allows me to not have four walls around me.
New Orleans really has an outdoor music culture. It's not like other places where there's only room for a few people. It feels like whoever you are, whatever you have to bring, there's room for you in the city. I like the street because there's a lot of freedom. You know, you can come and go whenever you want. You can wear whatever you want. You can play whatever you want. It's like the ultimate freedom. Whereas if you play in a bar, and we have played in bars before, you know, but we were always worried like about being late or not playing what people want, trying to play perfect, you know. On the street, we can make mistakes all the time. We can say, hey, you want to try this, you know? And if it's bad, it's not like people are angry, you know, because they pay money to be there and you sound bad. You just, on the street, it's like, okay, you know. It's just a lot of freedom, and you can't get that anywhere else.